Welcome to the Roy Rundown, a podcast designed to share insights and secrets from top experts in the college sports landscape, guiding you along your own path to success. Join us in real time as we build Roy, dive into the latest NIL trends, and uncover stories from the movers and shakers in the sports business space. You'll hear from an all-star lineup of guests, including athletes, coaches, agents, fans, athletic administrators, and more. Whether you're a student athlete, passionate fan, or anyone in between, this is your go-to resource for leveling up in the new age of college sports.
Welcome back to the Roy Rundown. We've got another game-changing college athlete joining us. This guy is not only known for his dynamic skills on the football field, but his leadership and humility off the field. He was one of the country's biggest recruits coming out of high school and has quickly proved why that was after a few seasons in college. Current quarterback for Kansas State, Avery Johnson. Avery, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're excited to dive into all things of your career and recruiting and NIL. So I'll give you the stage here first. A lot of people know about your football career, obviously, where you're at now, but I like to bring it back to like your upbringing. So, if you want to share with the audience, maybe a little bit about your upbringing. I know you're really close to your family. You got a special family. So talk about that and talk about where football entered your life.
Yeah. Football, entered my life at a young age, and that just kind of leads into what you kind of said about my family. Really, close, tight-knit family. I'm the youngest of three. My older brother and older sister. Me and my sister were really close growing up. But my brother was always somebody, I looked up to and always wanted to be like, and he's somebody still today. Like if I have anything, I like or whatever, I have to run it by him to make sure he likes it too, to make sure, it's cool like that. So me and my sister were best friends growing up, and my family, my parents have always been there for me, raised me really well. And, football was just kind of something I've always been around. My dad was a coach to my older brother, and I would always be at their practices. I was always running around, that little kid, always, you couldn't, he was always at the ballpark. He was always on the field. You couldn't ever get rid of him. So started playing football at a young age, first grade, played up in second grade. And then, the rest is kind of history. I never put the ball down. And, I've always had dreams and aspirations of playing Division I football. And ultimately my goal that I've had since a young age is to make it to the NFL and be an NFL quarterback.
That's great. And I want to talk eventually when you started getting recruited and offers. But first, I have to say, I know you were a multi-sport athlete. So I want to talk about that for a second. I'm a big hoops guy. I know you're a hoops guy. I may or may not have taken a look at some of your highlights and some of your film, and I was impressed you dunking on people over there. So talk about that for a second, like how important that was or how that played into, your actual football game.
Yeah, I think all of them kind of translate to one another, and it's just like different body movements and stuff that kind of just happened natural for me on the football field that I did, on the diamond and on the court. And, basketball was one of those things I just had the most fun with. And it was something that, I kind of just – football was really the only sport that I, kind of trained with in the off season. Like I always wanted to be – whatever I was doing, I always wanted to be the best at it. So if I wasn't hitting good in baseball, I would, find ways to stay after and hit in the cage and, trying to swing my way out of a slump. I would stay after basketball practice and shoot on the gun and stuff like that. But that was kind of the only like extra work I did when it come to those two different sports. Football was, just the one that, I always loved and always, knew that it was going to be the thing I did. But, basketball, I played it because it was fun, exciting. I loved, dunking, playing above the rim.
I saw that.
Out highlights and stuff like that. Like that was my game, and just needed to work on my free throws a little bit. That was one thing I'll say. I wasn't the best free throw shooter, but other than that, I was pretty good whenever I stepped on the court.
Cool. I wasn't going to mention that. I didn't look at those stats. I just saw some dunk highlights. So, all right. So back to football here. Was there a time that you remember specifically when you were like I'm that good? Like I'm I don't know how good, but I'm elite. I can play at the next level. Like, was there a specific time in high school when you started getting recruited?
I wouldn't say there's like a specific time, but like whenever I picked up my first offer, everything kind of, came full circle and was like, okay, this is all real. But really since a young age, it was like, I never stepped on the football field and didn't think I was the best player on the field. And just having that confidence, I think, allowed me to go out there and play with a whole bunch of confidence and be able to, dominate when I did step on the field. But I'll definitely say my sophomore year, after my sophomore season, whenever my recruiting started to pick up and there was a lot of people interested in me. And, when decision time came around and I had, options to go play college football wherever I wanted, I knew that this dream was starting to come a little bit more true.
And bring me up to speed. So now you have to make your decision here. What went into that decision? I mean, you're the one of the biggest recruits in the country, and arguably one of the biggest recruits to K-State, right? So what about that about K-State enticed you to go there? I know being close to home was one of those factors, but walk me through that process and why you were like, yeah, this is home for me.
Yeah, it was a kind of a mix of a few things, and one of the main reasons was just because how close to home it was. Being able to have my grandpa come to the games, and my brother not being too far come to all my games, because ultimately my parents were gonna move to wherever I did end up going to college. So having them at the games wasn't even in the picture. They were going to be there regardless of the circumstances. And then it was really just, the coaching staff and people at Kansas State. They care about you deeper than just X's and O's and football. They want to see you grow into a better man. We have a different culture at K-State that they don't let the little things slide, and we have structure, and they really grow you into a different person that'll help you if football doesn't work out. And the third thing was just, there's a lot of disrespect that comes with being from Kansas. A lot of people think, that people from Kansas aren't good at football, this, that, and the other. So it was kind of just, taking a chance on Kansas State, and Kansas State taking a chance on me, to where like we can go into games and have that chip on our shoulder and be able to say like, we can compete with some of the top teams in the nation and go toe to toe with those guys and really show them what Kansas is all about.
Yeah, you're a competitor, man. You wanted to prove them wrong. I love it. And talk about support from the fan. They were going to move wherever you went to college, huh?
Right.
That's great. So tell me, I mean, for the audience that's listening that might not be as familiar with K-State, talk a little bit about like the community. I want to get into the fan support, but talk about campus. Like what's K-State like?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like the community. We have really passionate fans here at Kansas State. Like I said, like I'm pretty sure we sold out all of our home games this year, and I didn't really realize how many K-State fans there were in Kansas until I committed to K-State. And then you drive around and I'm like, okay, there's a Power Cat on that car. Like I'm in Wichita, I'm like, okay, there's a Power Cat on that car. Like there's a Power Cat here, and there. And then I'm at school and it's like, okay, my teacher graduated from K-State and my principal went to K-State. And then I have all these family friends where it's like, okay, I'm a K-State grad, I'm a K-State alum. So it just shows like how many fans that are, really passionate and love K-State and K-State football. And then like the community and campus it's a really nice campus. I live like right outside of campus, so it's a short drive whenever I do go to class. And usually in the season, like all my classes are online. So out of season is when I spend the majority of my time on campus. But really great professors. Like one of my professors I had my freshman year, he was really, really big into K-State. And I'm pretty sure he had one of my teammates like brothers or dads in class or something like that. It was just crazy. How the roots in Kansas and K-State just kind of, stay. But it's a really a great community and really good spot for me to be at.
Yeah, K-State alum, go strong. I love it. So we talked about obviously the community and the amount of fans, but talk a little bit about the fan support like during the games. I feel like a lot of times, fans and the fan support are I don't know if undervalued is the right word, but sometimes fans don't realize how much they fuel you like during the game or at a away game or maybe even a message on social media. Obviously, there's both sides to that, which we could talk about, but talk about the support from the fans and how much it means to you guys.
Yeah, just being able to like flip the momentum of a game, especially at a home game. Being able to go into our stadium and know that we're going to have all those fans cheering for us. And I've been on the opposite end of it where you're at an away game and things aren't going your way, and it's just like so hard for you to flip the momentum back. So being able to have that play in our favor for home games and having the crowd erupt when we score or make a big play, it definitely gets the guys going and our competitive juices flowing on the sideline. And we just try to use all that energy and bottle it up and use it for positive and just try to go out there and play our best.
Of course. Was there a situation where you've ever been like completely taken off guard or humbled? Like you're grabbing food somewhere and someone comes up to you and wants to take a picture and, they're just a big K-State fan or a big Avery Johnson fan. Like if you have a story, feel free to share, but what does that mean to you?
It happens all the time. I don't know if I would say every time I go out, that would probably happen. Every time I go in public. I don't go in public very often. I'll just put it like that. But whenever I am in public, I don't mind stopping and taking photos if people recognize me. Most of the time when I'm in public, I have my hoodie on. But a lot of people can recognize me by my face now. But I do really appreciate it because it just shows, that the people here do really care about me. And ultimately, if I started going in public and guys were asking for pictures or didn't recognize me or something like that, then I probably wouldn't have my job anymore. So I'm really thankful for the fans that we have here and really appreciative for those people. And don't ever want somebody to think they can't approach me if they see me in public, because I always stop and take a picture. It hurts me whenever I'm in public or something, or we're doing the catwalk or something like that, and we have to get going just because we're out of time and I can't, sign everything or take pictures for everybody.
Yeah, I like the way you phrased that. Celebrity status over there. I feel honored right now. I feel honored. So I want to talk about fans again in the scope of NIL in a second here, but real quick, just a little bit about obviously football, right? Your leadership role that you've stepped into. Just talk about what it means to you to be obviously the leader of the team and who everybody looks to run the show.
Yeah, it was definitely hard at first because you don't really know everything that happens behind the scenes, and the coaches tell you like, this is your team, they hand the keys over to you, but you never really understand it until you kind of get thrown into the fire. And I had to learn, how different players and different position groups and guys like that, how they take coaching, how they respond to coaching. And it's really just all about, building that trust with your guys and really getting to know your teammates. If you don't get to know your teammates and you don't get those guys to trust you with how you work and how you go about your business, then everything you say is going to either go in one ear and out the other, or they're going to take stuff the wrong way. So just continuing to grow in my leadership as the year went on, and starting to get in that position where I have to demand things from people and step out and be more of a vocal leader, so that we can all hold each other accountable and get what we want out of the season. And I mean, when we step off the field with a win, then nobody's going to be complaining.
Yeah, you mentioned that, essentially there's a lot of eyes on you and a lot of pressure, a lot of accountability, and you're under a microscope. And that kind of, I guess, leads to this next topic of NIL, because, there is a lot of expectation, and NIL has, obviously changed the game, right? And so I think we all know that college sports are fueled by passionate fans. And for the first time ever in the NIL era, players can now benefit from what they should have been benefiting from, for 100 years now. But the way that the system's currently set up, which is what started NIL, is that it favors corporate dollars and high end donors, which is fine. But it leaves out a big group, and we've talked a lot about them today, and that's the everyday fan. And now it gives them an opportunity to really make an impact, right? And so obviously, I guess, can you just talk about your experience with NIL, and then I know we're going to talk here about Roy and how Roy's a platform for these everyday fans to get included. But yeah, just your experience with NIL at first.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like NIL benefits, college athletes in so many ways. And I feel like really like one of the biggest things, just being around a lot of people from like all my roommates are nobody's from Kansas. I got a roommate from Florida, a roommate from Minnesota, a roommate from Texas. And the biggest thing like with their NIL money is if they get NIL money, they can maybe buy their family's flights to come to the games, or maybe get them a place to stay whenever they do travel to the games. And a lot of that stuff kind of goes unnoticed because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes with NIL that, a lot of college kids aren't, definitely or aren't educated with. And that's like, taxes. A lot of people, you have to pay taxes on your NIL money. A lot of people just think that, we get our NIL money and spend it all on, flashy stuff and things like that. But it definitely benefited me in a whole bunch of different ways. Just being able to, whether that's help my family out in any way, traveling from games and things like that, just trying to benefit from it in the most ways as possible. And ultimately, if football was to not work out, I would be able to, maybe invest my money. I invest my NIL money to be able to get a kickstart on my life whenever football did end.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement too. Is athletes have a small window of opportunity to maximize their NIL, and so that's what all athletes should be doing. And so I know we briefly talked about Roy, but when we talk about Roy and how Roy is the platform for fans to directly support specific athletes in particular, like what are some things that you like about the platform in relation to NIL that you think are powerful?
Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest things is fans know where their money is going. They know directly it's not going through a booster or a donor, or you may be giving it to them and not necessarily knowing where your money is going. You have direct control over where your money is going and the person you're giving it to, and then also just being able to have a multitude of people be able to benefit from it. Like being able to give money to, like an offensive lineman or somebody that isn't as nationally known, but they work just as hard, if not harder than everybody else on the team. And they don't get as much of the credit or the glory that the quarterback or the running back or the receiver, the guys that are scoring the touchdowns might get, or, a defensive lineman, those guys that do that dirty work that their name isn't necessarily, on a billboard or, on the side of a grocery store or whatever it might be. Those guys are one of the main reasons, if not the most important and valuable players on the team. So those are probably like the main things I would have to say.
Yeah, and I think it's a common misconception that people think most athletes will just get money and spend it on things. And sure, like rightfully so, everybody can spend their money however they want to. But with a lot of athletes, and in particular you, what I've noticed is the word that you've used is impact, right? And with the example you just gave with blessing your teammates, but also I need you to talk about what you did this season, because I told you this before, but when I saw that you started this campaign for one of your high school, I think it was your high school principal that was going through cancer, like that was powerful, man. And so like I want you to talk about that, because NIL it's not just money. It's not just transactional. It really does impact lives. And I know you're a big proponent of that. So talk about that situation.
Yeah, I know I'm just one of the college athletes of a small group, or of a big group of college athletes that have, used NIL for good. You see it all over the nation where people will, take their NIL money and donate it, or donate it to charity, or however, start fundraisers. And that was kind of something, I wanted to do, and to be able to give back to a person like my principal, who has done so much for me. He did so much for me in high school. He still supports me today. And, kind of like what I talked about of him being a K-State grad. He had never pressured me into coming to K-State. or would have treated me any different if I didn't go to K-State. And those are the type of people that are really. He's one of those people that are really deserving of all the money that people donated for him, and he never shied away from saying how grateful he was and how thankful he was. But that is just a small piece of me just trying to give back to him for everything that he had done for me.
Yeah, it's powerful, man. It definitely inspired me when I saw that first video. So, all right, as we wrap up here, obviously we talked a lot of football, we talked a lot NIL, but what about Avery off the field, man? Like, what are some things you love to do off the field? I know you're into fashion. I know you're starting to get into shoes. What's something fans might not know?
Yeah, I feel like really the biggest thing is I just, I love spending time with my friends. We like to, just stay in the house, mess around, joke around with each other, always having a good time, always having fun. Like to play the video game, like to just, be in the party with my friends. If we're playing NCAA, Call of Duty, like Fortnite's about to come back out, we're going to get on Fortnite. Just those conversations that you have with people from all over that you don't necessarily get a chance to see on an everyday basis, definitely is just, a really great feeling. And then, yeah, I really love shoes. It's really my dad's fault, my brother's fault why I like shoes so much. Like, my dad always had a new pair of Jordans, and my brother always had some Jordans. So my dad would never get a pair of shoes without getting me a pair too. So he always would make sure, I was looking good, and we never could tell my mom. It was always our secret. We got to keep it a secret from my mom. So she would never find out, but definitely just trying to, find ways outside of football to have some fun, because it is a full-time job in college, and being able to get away from the game and have fun with your, your family and your friends are definitely, times I like to cherish.
That's great. Back to family support, man. Pop's always making you look right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So if there's a listener that might be a younger athlete or in high school or middle school that wants to be where you are now, what's some advice you'd give them?
I feel like it's kind of cliche, but it's just, man, you got to work for it. You can't cut corners. You can't go around the work. If you want it bad enough, you'll find ways to. You got to outwork everybody. You'll find ways to, wake up earlier and get some extra reps, watch some extra film, whatever it might be, and then really just go out there, and you're just gonna have to be different. You're gonna have to sacrifice. It's gonna take a lot of sacrifice if you want to get and be successful and get to where you want to be in life. You might have to miss out on, high school prom or homecoming or, whatever it might be, if this is really your dream and really something that you want in life, you're just gonna have to go out there and get it, and don't be afraid to be different.
That's great advice. All right. Well, I promise this is the last thing I got for you. It's called the Roy Rundown Rapid Fire. I'm going to shoot you with some questions. First thing that comes to your mind. All right.
All right.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Red.
If you had to play a sport, I think I know the answer to this. If you had to play a sport other than yours right now, what would it be?
Basketball.
That's right. I love it. If you could have a dream NIL deal, what's one of the first companies that pops into your head?
Head and Shoulders.
There you go. The funniest person on your team?
Jace Brown.
If you could trade places with anyone in the world and live one full year in their shoes, who would that be?
LeBron.
What is one of your biggest strengths?
Leadership.
Who is one of the first people to really believe in you?
My parents.
What's one of your biggest fears?
Spiders.
And last one here. What's one piece of advice that you would give your younger self if you went back in time?
Say just keep going, man. Stay true to who you are. Continue to work. Keep your head down, and your dreams will all come true soon.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a busy schedule. Thanks for coming on the podcast. You got a lot of fans over here at Roy, man. We've been impressed with obviously on the field, but everything that you're doing off the field from a leadership standpoint, giving back to the community. It's been fun to watch. I know you got a lot of success coming your way. So appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.